Welcome to the Authority Advantage podcast, where authority is earned and proven. I'm Modesta Mahiga, CEO of Authority Global and trusted advisor to global leaders, anchoring authority under scrutiny. This podcast examines what it actually takes for leaders and institutions to earn authority that holds. When visibility increases, decisions carry weight, and judgment is applied by boards, selection committees, media, and stakeholders. Not authority claimed, authority examined, authority proven. If you lead where credibility matters and want your authority to stand up to scrutiny, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about power moves with one of the most exemplary leaders I have met, most intentional leaders I have met in discerning the times of her life, of her leadership, of her career, and having the courage and the conviction to make the right power moves at the right time. My guest today on the Authority Advantage podcast is Imelda Lutebinga, who is a purpose-driven C-suite executive with over 15 years of experience leading multi-million-dollar multinational organizations across logistics, security management, telecommunications, and oil and gas. She currently serves as country director, which is the CEO role of DHL Tanzania Limited, following a highly successful tenure as CEO of G4S Secure Solutions Tanzania. Imelda holds a rare leadership distinction. She was the first local and first female CEO appointed to lead a multinational security company in Tanzania, an appointment reflecting deep institutional confidence, not just symbolic representation. She has been recognized not just by the multinationals and the employees she's worked for. Imelda's leadership impact has been externally validated and recognized, including Top 50 Women in Management Africa, Women Leadership East Africa Awards, CEO of the Year First Runner-Up, Top 100 Executives Tanzania, 100 Tanzania Changemakers, and Multinational Service Excellence and Employee Leadership Awards during her tenure in her roles. Beyond executive leadership, Imelda's authority extends into governance, policy, and regional influence. She serves as a vice chair of the Association of Tanzania Employers, which is ATE, sits on several national and international boards spanning banking, industry, and trade, and is the regional ambassador for Eastern Africa, spanning 14 countries, for Women Entrepreneurship Day organization, WEDO. Imelda is also the founder and chairperson of Kaisiki Africa Initiative, a global nonprofit advancing education, health, and economic opportunity for 200 plus women and youth. Imelda's career reflects a consistent pattern: authority built through performance, reinforced by governance, trust, and compounded through strategic transitions, making her a compelling case study in how power moves are made at the highest levels. Imelda Lutebinga, welcome to the Authority Advantage podcast.
Thank you so much, Modesta. Always, I'm truly an honor being in this platform with you once again. It's a global stage. So truly honored being here with you. Authority Global. Wow, what a name.
Thank you. It is really such a mandate to go out into all the world, right? There's a person I know who had once lamented to a colleague that, oh my goodness, we have foreigners coming into our country and they're taking roles. We often have this conversation. And his colleague, who's also a national of that country, said, well, you know what? To me, this is just a market. It's just yet another place to advance my territory. So I just see them as people who've taken that mandate, who have the boldness and the vision, the foresight to see that they need to expand beyond their realm. And he said, this was the first time I realized, whereas as a national, I want to be patriotic and I'm trying to hold what is mine. It's really not mine. The globe is ours. Each one of us should be taking to a territory beyond our borders, whether they're geographic, mindset, industry, right?
What a way of starting it, because with the globalization, I think we've always thought of it as, whether it's a geographical limiting thing or the likes, but I think for me, it's really more of mindset in terms of where you want to be. So I think that was a great explanation of the colleague. It's not fighting for what is mine or not mine. It's just what you see is what will be given to you and then the likes. And I think that's biblical as well. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
So my first question to you, You've transitioned from a position of visible success. What internal indicators would tell you it's time to move forward rather than stay comfortable?
First and foremost, really, for me, my career journey is very much grounded to my faith, because I truly believe that God orchestrates these steps. He knows the next. If I sit down and, kind of reflect, I can clearly see God's hand in terms of how these movements have been happening. And by saying that, I don't want to be picked like a person that we all just have to sit, do our prayers, and wait for that big plan, and then just wait for God's time to happen. No, I think we've got a role to play. And the role starts by, the alignment with the Creator, who really has got a purpose for us being where we are. And for us being where we are, to me, I've even segmented it into season. I feel like whatever we are doing has got a time, it's time bound. So it's very important to discern and know your timing. And once you know that, you'll stay in the moment, being present in the situation. Definitely, He's going to orchestrate another move. And when it comes, when you descend, obedience is key. Being in a great institution where I was groomed, I was, trusted with the responsibilities. I was given an atmosphere where I could really thrive in terms of what I had to do. I had the right people, the right environment. I had the right, what I call them, coaching and the likes. But again, along the journey is that God also gave me, there were quite good indicators in terms of, having, mentors, coaches, internally, externally. There are areas that you had to invest, because it's really your journey. That is something that you should never forget. You should not just be comfortable and say, they should be blogging about my career growth. It goes hand in hand. You need to drive that. You need to drive your career path. You really have to take the driver's seat. And of course, I believe institutions will provide the environment. They will support you with the direction you want to take, but they'll never sit on the driver's seat. You have to do that. That means work to be done, things that you need to do, things that you're no longer supposed to do as you grow. We normally talk of things that we need to do and quite often forget things to let go to get you where you need to be. That's part of the price of paying to where we really want to go and where the Lord is taking us in our journey. So I think for me, the indicators, first is the indicators being in the presence. Once we get that prompting, there has to be an alignment. Obedience is quite key. Obedience is quite key. But again, because you are in the process, and I think that has been my life philosophy, call it so, I am always in a journey somewhere. You'll find it very awkward because even in my job interviews, I will normally emphasize on my next. If you're not very quick to pick and understand, you might think, we're discussing about this role and someone is talking about they want to go. You just want to rubber stamp us and use us as a bridge. I'm like, no. It's going to be value. You'll appreciate it. The company's going to appreciate it. And that's going to be what's going to take me to the next. So with that clear roadmap of knowing where you want to go, where you want to hit, when the moment comes, it's very easy to seize it. Then you will have to have the decency way of transitioning to the next while you're still maintaining a good legacy from what you've done already. And that really gives you that goodwill, that gives you a very good reference, that gives you a very good starting point to your next. So it's quite important as well you deal with the transition in a manner that really complements each other.
Listen, I wanted to move on, but I really would like to stay here because I feel like it truly sets the foundation. You started off with, listen, it has to be a personal journey. But you also said something that is a challenge, even at the executive level. Please don't wait for your organization to map out your development for you, to map out the next opportunity for you. I work with executives because, my work is to support executives in their global positioning. And I've met a couple of people that are stuck because they were waiting for their organization to place them next. And they don't see that coming, and they, maybe they don't want to push and ask, or, for whatever reasons, they allow themselves to be stuck in their careers because they were hoping that the institution would have a plan for their lives. And you're saying, no, you should know who you are, where you're going, and you need to know when it's time to make that move. And you prompt that move yourself. So you prepare all along, because one of the when you said that at your interview, you're always talking about your next, some people will not dare because they think, I'm going to lose this job. How do I start telling about where I'm going next when I'm being interviewed for now? But that's an indicator. I will give you value, like you said, on my way to where I'm going. And that then means, for instance, these executives that are often stuck that I work with, you don't have to be stuck. It's not about the institution or the position they have ready for you. If you know who you are and live prepared for what's next, you can engineer that. You can design your next.
You have to, not you can. You have to define your next. You have to be in that driver's seat to ensure that that's the direction you're taking. And that comes with a price. That will mean you might get quite attracting opportunities. And I'll even take myself for an example. When I knew my career path in terms of where I should be heading, that's normally where you get all these attractive job offers and everything else in between. Because they're not aligned anymore to where I'm going, it's an easy no. It's an easy no, because you've really clearly mapped it out. This is the direction I'm taking in this particular place. I do not believe that you at any stage should start blaming. I was placed on this particular program, but it wasn't fitting, but it was something that I had to do, blah blah. No. Once you know the direction you're taking, even in the opportunities, the internal opportunities that might rise, whether internal or external, you'll be at a better state to analyze and say, this goes along with what I want to do and where my calling is, where within an area I'm called to serve, compared to another opportunity. Otherwise, you can get quite busy in life without any fruits. And I think, especially for leaders who are aspiring to grow further, if you want to be very good at what you're doing, you have to really get to a point of knowing less of what you don't want to know. There are things that are no longer important for you. There are things that you need to really kind of let go. It just narrows it down. I feel like it's really a pyramid kind of move that you'll have to take. And nobody is going to sit there with you and put it on an institution to say these are the do's and don'ts. They have to originate from you.
So may I then press in a little bit more to find out about that? So I hear you speak of the internal preparation, that this is lifelong. This is your journey. Own it. Make the moves that then would prepare you for what's coming next. But then now I wonder, you're the CEO, you're in a role. In terms of your execution, right? How do you know? Because I heard you when you were responding earlier, you were talking about legacy and finishing well, right? How do you know? What are the indicators externally that tell you, I'm done here? For you to leave satisfied, I've left a good legacy.
So I think a very, very good question. It's very personal. It's going to be different from one person to the other, because once you're in a particular, I normally call it an assignment. This is my assignment. This is something I need to do. That means there is a clear roadmap in terms of what you'd like to see. And I think for me, at least, that's normally my drive. Grow this business, ensure there's 1, 2, 3 happening. Groom your prepare your successor if you're able to do that. Build a proper team and the like. So for me, the first indicator is that knowing that the moment you step out, there's still going to be stability. You don't want to step out and then the next day they say, you know what? Whoa, things are no longer moving. That will give me sleepless nights. That means I was too selfish. I did everything on my own. I was not there. I was not really sharing and ensuring that there's continuity in the business, because I do believe that. And actually, for many of us, maybe who have been in these the private sector, whether it's a multinational or not, if you go down to history, these institutions boil down to maybe 1 or 2 people coming together and saying, you know what, let's start a company. And that means if these people were selfish, the moment they disappeared, whether they died or they've just left the company, that means that could have been the end of these institutions. But why are they running for decades? Some for centuries? Is because there's very good continuity in terms of the leadership structure. So for me, number 1 is stability. So that's why I'm saying, even managing your transition well. Don't burn that bridge. Don't close those doors and say, come on guys, you do understand my last working day was on da 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 da. I don't feel like that's the rightful way of doing it, but rather wherever support is needed, you continue being an ambassador of a particular institution. If you find things not working well, if you run around an opportunity, I believe you'll be the first person to call and say, hey, guys, would you meet X, Y, and Z? Because I think there's a good business deal to close there. So I think for me, that's already things that I can do. But other than that, performance issues, turnaround of a business, growth, in my previous employment, I think I've said this a number of times, the fact that you could imagine the number of employments you are creating and families that are being fed in the life, because we used to work with big numbers and all those kind of things. That brought really a lot of joy. So it depends from where you're moving the company. We I think almost triple the numbers of course it's more or less, it was numbers driven in terms of the personnel from when I started to when I was leaving a good relationship in terms of your transition. But I think once it's handled from a point of you did a good job, you get some posts, people saying, wow, lost to us, but again for the next employer, but keep doing the good work. It's an ecosystem. If you think of the business world, the corporate structure is really, and there's an ecosystem in terms of depending on one another. So once a leader in such a system, you should really ensure that the leadership does not end with a role. If I can
care to expand and please unpack that. What does it mean that the leadership does not end with the role?
Yeah, once a leader, you are a leader. And I think there are standards to live up to as a leader, whether you're in a particular role, in a particular institution or not. Once a leader, always a leader. So you should be very mindful in terms of your conduct, in terms of how you carry yourself, in terms of how you lead your personal life. Because again, leadership starts from personal leadership. How are you leading yourself? And that is why for me, it becomes very difficult separating personal leadership and an institutional leadership. And that's why I'm saying once in a corporate leadership structure, your leadership can never end with a role, should never end with a role in a particular place. Yeah.
I love that. An amazing segue into my next question for you. So you've been intentional, and I've known you to be extremely intentional about your leadership development at each stage of your career. How did executive coaching support the power moves that positioned you for increasingly senior and global roles?
Wow. I cannot even get the right way of emphasizing on executive coaching, because what a coach does, to me at least, is just your bouncing board. A coach will not come and sit with you and craft my career journey. You're getting it wrong. That's not the role. But I see coaching, one, commitment. A coach gets you to commit. And once there's that commitment in terms of going in a particular journey, the coach stands as an accountability partner in terms of, things you've committed to, checking on you. And, the coaching process has to be driven like mentor-mentee process, more or less. A mentee should drive it, or a person who's coached really driving it. If you are the one, if you go back to what I earlier said, you have to own your career journey by being on the driver's seat. You cannot be on a passenger's seat directing the coach which route to take, but rather putting a coach on the passenger's seat, and the coach will tap you if you are not taking the right strides, turn you to the direction which maybe shouldn't take longer as you could have gone by yourself and the likes. So for me, coaching has been something that I've done internally with the institutions I've served, but also personally. Coaching, there's always that budget. There has to be a spend in terms of my personal development, and I'm so happy spending it on coaching. Just again, I normally pray about these things in terms of getting the right person who would lead me to the direction that I'm called to take. Get the right person, make the time. Paying is one thing, getting the right person is the one thing, but make the time to ensure that you're committed to your sessions. But what is most important after doing all that once you've concluded a particular coaching session, there's work to be done. If you're not implement whatever you have agreed to do, there's work for you to do. You have to implement it, because we do coaching in different things. People would say, I want to do coaching in my public speaking. And then there are do's and don'ts and tips and things to learn and unlearn so that you can get to that TEDx, public speaker and the likes. But then it takes you to implement and get you where you desire to be. So no one can underestimate that the coaching process and executive coaching. I normally prefer the customized one, because I've done group coaching, but sometimes I move in my own pace. So, so sometimes customized would work for me, because again, it helps me to only pin down the only small fraction that I want to really kind of go deeper in and correct in that particular moment. You can have multiple coaches in different areas and in different things. So it's you. That's what I'm saying. It's your responsibility to drive it, because once you drive your career journey, it's easy for you to spot areas of development by yourself, rather than a person saying, I think, Imelda, you need public speaking, but maybe not. I need emotional intelligence. It can be in any direction. So I think, because you're the one working on your blueprint in terms of where you want to go and mapping it out, it becomes very easy for you as well to identify the right partners you want to walk the journey with. And I would always encourage for executive coaching.
I love that answer. And of course, because we work together, and I want to say that of the people that I've worked with, with your permission, well, we're here now, and so I'm declaring it that I've been working.
Of course.
It's funny. I think it's been 7 years.
More than that. Yeah,
more than that.
I think more than that.
So I want to say, I don't think that part you said where after that go do the work. From if it were for the perspective of a person who's intentional about owning who they are and where they're going, and then coming back to the present and saying, given this is where I want to go globally, this is what would be required of me as a global executive and thought leader and authority. Therefore, I'd like to work on these areas. And then, Imelda, you do the work. And you go from award to award and position to position. No one will be surprised when you arrive at wherever you arrive, because we see you on the path. But what I want to say is, you truly own it, and then you truly go and apply it. And I think this is where many falter. Sometimes I think people think coaching is training, or I don't know what else they think it is that I naturally absorb and I'll naturally get there. You make moves in your career. You make moves and you're on boards. You make moves and you're serving globally. You make moves, you're recognized globally. And I want to ask this. Boards in global organizations, they assess risks differently than individuals do. What are they looking for, these global decision makers, that often senior executives underestimate? What I'm looking for here is making that leap, if there is even a leap, between local context only closed off and thinking and acting global, such that global decision makers say, we've got our girl, we've got our guy. What are they looking for that sometimes we overlook or we underestimate, especially whether you would be a risky investment for the next C-suite role?
Yeah. Wow. Big question. Big question. But So I think I want to cycle back to my previous comment I made. Once a leader, leadership does not end with the role. Your credibility is your currency. As much I did mention that when I start, I'm on my way to my next. And I know you made a comment like, wow, saying that in a job interview feels like, what the hell? And maybe, and all that. But it's a humble but a honest statement. And that's what I'm saying. Career journey has to be very personal. You. I don't want to get any person just duplicating the same. It might not work maybe. But your credibility is very important. And because you know where you're going, it's very important that you do the work. You should have a credible track record of your performance, solid. Integrity is key. I know we've used this word in so many things, so many ways and all that. But for me, in a very simplified definition, is, to me, integrity starts by just being integrity to yourself. Are you a person who can just commit to something and get it done? And because they really want assurance. Because I'll give you an example of the institutions the institution I'm currently serving, but also previous institutions. You'll be here or as a country lead, and these people should really feel safe, comfortable, knowing that they've invested their money to the right person as a lead, with the right team, right structure. But of course, depending on you in terms of, creating the team or molding the team and having the right structures and everything to ensure at the end of the day that the interest of these multinational institutions properly safeguarded and they're in the right and very safe hands and the like. So it really takes more of you, what you've done. That's why leadership does not end with the role. You as a leader, not you as a head of an institution, you as a whatever. So I think that individual credibility is very, very important, and you build it over time. So we should never downplay. Sometimes these are very small assignments you're given. Yeah. And then to me, I always say, if you give me a task, I will go all for it, or I'll politely decline that particular, whether it's an opportunity or a particular task to do. Because it's through these little things, volunteering in a particular board, and saying, I just want to have it in my CV, it's good sewing. No, doing it right, doing it well, doing it, leaving, a mark in terms of what you're doing. Whether you're paid or you're not paid. If you're not comfortable by not being paid, you'd rather not take the opportunity, because you won't get to a place that you're not fully motivated to do the right thing, and that's going to leave a stain on your track record. So that's very, very, very important. But again, in terms of leadership, you're not living in a bubble. It's you and your institution and the like. They're looking at many other things. Your engagement with stakeholders, no matter where you are, how you interact, your customers, regulators, authorities and the likes. That also is quite important, because that also gives confidence, because they would also like to be fully compliant in terms of how they are running the institutions. They would like to get a person who is also aligned to those same values, and a person who will be able to live and stand for the same.
When you said it takes time, that emphasizes to me, it's not about I see a role, have my CV ready, I'm going to prep for the interview. No, it's the fact that you have consistently shown great leadership with integrity. You've been there to serve. You haven't taken any role to be insignificant. If I'm in it, I've given my all. Otherwise, I decline and I don't do it at all. I think this is what sends signals of your readiness for the next role, even if you're not applying. The whole time, you see, people don't realize the whole time you're engaging, you're interviewing.
Thank you. So you just picked that from my mouth. I just wanted to say, as you're doing what you're doing, you're interviewing. And you don't know who.
And I bet you have a couple of experiences of this where people would nominate you for things or ask you to be part of something you weren't even looking to. And sometimes even from unexpected places, not the platforms you expect then would be the ones to broadcast.
100%. You just actually took the words from my mouth. As you're doing what you're doing, you're interviewing. If it's the only thing you should know, if you really aspire to grow, it's not when you're called in for an interview. There are places where people have made decisions already before even you have stepped in. But someone has maybe vouched for you, and they're just saying, you know what, get this person on the process. Not saying that they just want to rubber stamp whatever they're doing, but someone who's very confident, to say that I have been observing, I've interacted, I have done this and that. Don't take that for granted. You've been given an opportunity somewhere promptly. Just give a vote of thanks, and you start shying away. No, you're interviewing, public speaking, maybe on that particular instance. You're going for coffee with somebody. Let's just want to pick your brain. Maybe they're interviewing and the like. So I think it's a matter of living a conscious lifestyle in terms of your leadership. And that's why I said, once a leader, your leadership role does not end with your position or the likes. It's really the whole your whole conduct. So I think that is that's quite important.
Imelda, you've always, and in every context you're in, you're taken to be a leader. And I can imagine, right, their executive decisions, their directions you may take that may not seem like the obvious choice or understood by everyone. What kind of disciplines or habits have protected your authority during moments of change and transition? How do you, I guess, reinforce your authority without explaining yourself too much?
Yeah, so one, getting to a point of making that decision for a change. It's not an abrupt thing that you just wake up and say promptly you're making the change. At least for me, it's a process which has to be managed very well, very, very well. Remember, I've spoken about legacy, spoken about the corporate structure that you've been into and the ecosystem and how we depend on one another and how we see that the globe is very agile in terms of movements and all that. All that is very, very important. But I think for me, I've always stood I'm very much grounded in terms of seasons, understanding the seasons and when is the right time for the changes to happen. And, and once it's right, of course, after, evaluating, understanding your next and knowing the direction you want to take, managing the transition very, very well to ensure that, you leave a good legacy, but also continue, you manage, I think I want to say manage, you influence or something. I'm trying to get the real right word in terms, because influence in terms of authority and all that. And I think in most cases, it's only playing in our, in our minds. As I said, it's a personal journey. And I think it's only plays in our mind. Maybe you need to explain, why you're doing it and all the likes and all that. But it's more of you being very comfortable and confident in terms of what is your next, and managing that very, very well. And the next will always come with it's a new season. You have to embrace that change. And in terms of embracing the change, it can be quite overwhelming if you are not very well prepared for the stakeholders engagement, and all that. But once there's a clear flow that can move you very well to the next and get you to a place of stability and even of growth. Yeah. So I think the discipline is just ensuring that, first of all, committing, agreeing to yourself in terms of the change and the change coming, I think it's calls of boldness and courage, because it's a new season, and a new season, you just assume there's going to be changes in terms of how you're doing things, how things are being done. You need to be agile, because I'm very sure that there are things that you also have to adjust to ensure that you're fully into the new. And I think the agility there also will play part. It's a time that you need also to really have right people to work with you in that transition. And then to me, really, talking about it's not only a change, it's only a change happening and a change being seen on the career journey. But also this career journey touches also my personal life. It touches my family, touches my kids and all that. So the right transition plan that you make and commit to it is what's gonna land you on the other side and be able to land and grow and move to where you should be. Yeah.
Oh, good. Ownership throughout. That's what I'm hearing. Vision, ownership, lock in and go at it, making sure you put everything in place to help you land and succeed and grow. I love the fact that you touched on your family, because we are women doing many great things. However, senior leadership can be all consuming.
Correct.
If you're highly intentional, I know you to be highly intentional about investing in your faith, your marriage, and your children's 360 well-being. Oh my goodness. If I've met a person who sees each child for who they are and where they're going and agonizes over investing in their children to get there, it is you. I have heard you in context, and, it just either speaking of, or there are times I've actually overheard you speaking to, your husband about you guys and where you're going, right? Because of the nature of the work we did together, it was 360 for you as a leader.
Yeah, yeah.
Why has faith, marriage, children, and their well-being, not just children, they eat, they go to school, but their well-being, and then reaching their destiny? I see you so intentional about your children reaching their destiny. Why has this been a non-negotiable for you, Imelda? And how have you designed your life and leadership to sustain it?
Very good question, Modesta. I see them like also my why. And I feel like there's a part that I need to play in terms of where they need to be and what they need to do and the like. So my involvement there, directly, indirectly, and in whatever means, is also very, very important towards what I'm doing. Yeah. So first and foremost, my faith. That is my only anchor towards everything that is in there. Yeah. So serving, whether it's in my church, serving in my, leading a small group, whether it's being a member of my choir group in my church, that's very, very important, because I believe things start from the spiritual realm before they are manifested fully in the physical realm. With that, I am a strong believer that when I am fully stable, fully grown, there's no growing, but we continue grow in our faith. It really is what ignites me in terms of whatever next move we're making. It fuels me in terms of what I need to do. And that's why I've been intentional in terms of my faith. I am a Bible study fellowship. I call myself student as much as I'm a leader into it to date, and I have applied the biblical principles in everything I do. And it's really, really, it's just exciting. I've just got my new Maxwell Bible, the leadership Bible. So I'm like, yeah. So that's my source of whatever, of what I do. Yeah. So that's why that is very, very important. But again, secondly, with all that occupies us in terms of work, in terms of career fulfillment and all that, the joy, the engine, the recharge comes from the family setup, So again, I'm intentional in that particular area. I know I'm one of the person that I will never go for a work-life balance, because I have not seen the balance in my personal life. So I'm not going to tell anyone's story. But what I have seen is having the right structure that supports each and everyone to get to where they want to be. I have never shied away from sharing my aspiration to my kids, my aspiration to my husband, even way, way back before I came to these leadership positions and the likes. So I think with that, nothing comes as new to them other than a celebration and ready to partner with me in the journey. And I will always, and I remain grateful for that.
Powerful. I could have an entire episode with you on that, and I actually think I should. I think this will liberate a lot of people. You have always, you use the word, the phrasing, I've not shied away from letting my family know, from letting my children know, letting my husband know, even before any of these leadership roles, who I am, where I'm going. And so to expect the steady progression, and although family life is not balanced, it is structured in such a way that every single individual thrives.
Yeah.
And that phrasing there, the structuring so that every single individual thrives, it has been such that requires another layer of intentionality. It's not just we eat, we meet together or whatever. It's just, who is every single individual here? Me, husband, children.
Yeah.
Where are they going? And what role can I play? Given the fact that I am also going on my journey, and I want to one day to say to God, I've completed down to the last detail what you gave me to do on earth. And so now here's my work on earth. Since I'm not going to abandon that, even though I'm a wife and a mother, right? I also want to make make sure that the others also get there. And I think often for women in leadership, that you think, okay, I have to choose my career or my family. If I'm doing the career and I'm doing leadership, and especially if I want to have global impact, then maybe I'll just do the blanket thing, roof, food, whatever. But that extra layer of intentionality, and I think this is where the leadership comes in, like you said, it starts at home, it starts with me. It's every single person here. We thank God that we were put together, but every single person here must be all they need to be. And in this season in their lives where I am in their lives and I'm playing this role, what can I do as a leader? Fine, as a wife, as a parent, but as a leader to make sure that they also reach their goals. There's a lady I met who said, and she's Asian. She said, we don't do things the way our culture does them. She's a research scientist, PhD. He is a commercial management, I think global leader. They have a one child, amazing kid. But that kid is, understands. She has, ambitious parents. A mother who's in the lab a lot. She's curing respiratory diseases globally, and so early in the morning she has a program before school starts. After school she has a program. But they live life in such a way that each finds fulfillment in what they have created. There is no the ideal family and what should be healthy. And do you know everybody adjusts? Because this is us.
100%. I like what you say. There's no ideal family. And I think saying no ideal, ideal itself is defined in so many. What might be ideal for me might not be ideal for you. It might not work for you. So again, even at that particular level, it's getting comfortable where people are not comfortable with what they see. And also the issue of also not being understood the way it has to be understood. But if you understand, you amongst yourselves understand what's going on. Somebody said that when God called you, it wasn't a conference call. It wasn't. It was just you. So I think you really have that blueprint and that what you have to do. And actually, the price we need to pay is the sacrificial prices. Sacrificing some of the things. There's some trade-offs. System will really help us a lot. We'll get to a point of not being understood. But when it gets to that point, you have to understand why you're doing what you're doing, because your why will be your drive to get there. Because they won't understand, but the why in you will keep you, will propel you to your next, will just keep you to the next, to where you need to be. So it is important in terms of striving. It is important in terms of getting into their personal lives. I remember I had to support my child. The first one who wrote his first book at the age of 7. It was published, this and that and the likes. And you get into areas where when they pick sports that they need to do, and then mommy has to pick one. And sometimes there are fights because I don't pick what they would pick. But then you say, mommy, you give some good reasons around it, and then they keep going. I'm blessed with kids who are, the ages are somehow a bit different and all that, different needs and all that. But I enjoy the differences in terms of the choices, the direction they want to take, and this and that. And of course, they're still young. And I'm always being told, it has not started. And I'm like, it has started. I'm already feeling I'm getting my little and enjoying the little surprises here and there. So I think it is, to me, I believe into ensuring that I'm not getting into marriage to dim my light or being here dimming anyone's light, but my light should shine and give more light to everyone, whether it's in family, whether it is in the place of work where I am, whether it is in that group, that book club I'm supposed to attend on that Friday night, or whatever that I'm doing. The saltiness in me, they should feel the taste, the light that needs to shine. That is what I desire. That is what I desire. And I think, should we all just desire that? It's a beautiful world, It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful institution to be into and to do what we're doing and what we're called to do in terms of leadership, because that's the topic we're talking about here. But
so good. the fact that you've been yourself, and as we're concluding now, you've been yourself all along. You've been very intentional about sitting with your God, finding out what assignments He's giving you on this earth, who you are and where you're going, and invested in yourself to get there. And you say that in every relationship, professional or personal, I've been very honest. I am a global leader. I'm going to have global impact. So all along, right? No one gets surprised. Everyone has known this, and you have not only been intentional about developing yourself, you've been intentional about equipping actually your support system and being a really credible support system for them. I think when we're intentional about engaging this process, we then don't shrink back. When we sense that our season is calling us higher, you're like, oh, then what will happen to them? What will happen to this? What will people think? You have fully owned, and I love what you're saying. Other people may not understand, but we understand each other. Like in your, we know why these are our goals. We know why we show up here, we don't show up here. We know why we invest here and we don't invest in this. And in this way, you're actually going global together.
Oh yeah.
And on this thing of being intentional about impact, I have just one last question in general, and it's about kaiseki and what you do with kaiseki. You lead at scale in demanding environments. You always have, not just with this new role with DHL Tanzania, yet you also founded and continue to lead Kaiseki Africa Initiative. Now, how does building something mission-driven, outside corporate structures, how does that sharpen rather than distract from your executive judgment and authority? What does Kaiseki Africa Initiative do for you as a leader?
Wow, a beautiful question. Because again, that's purely impact. That's purely giving back. If it's just words, that's purely building. That's purely recharge, because interacting with these great young minds, it's always a beautiful opportunity to do so. Yeah, but I think Kaiseki is so dear to me in terms of giving back. It was born from a point.
Give me a moment, Imelda. What is Kaiseki Africa Initiative?
Thank you. So,
and you can speak a little bit more. I realized I didn't ask that, and that would
what Kaiseki is, yeah. So first and foremost, Kaiseki is a higher word meaning a girl. So being higher, I had to put a higher name there, but purely an initiative which does a lot of girl empowerment initiatives, specifically in offering soft skills to the young girls in the age between 13 to 18. We work with local government for secondary schools, which is, the likes of Form 2s to Form 3s, sometimes a Form 4-ish. We have founded already 5 clubs here in Dar es Salaam with the public schools, and we run these programs throughout the year from February to November. So we do mentor, or we take kids of all mixed grades. We don't just pick a particular. So we go to a school, we give them the categories, we explain to them what we're doing. We are fully registered in Tanzania, and under the ministry, and we go to them, and with these clubs we take about 20, maximum 25 students annually through the program. So we do mentor about 120, 25-ish girls, and of course we follow through in terms of what is happening in the career. Some good success stories from when we started. We have got a couple of university students this year. Some have gone to the University of Sokoine, and I think some are joining UD, University of Dar es Salaam here. So yes, so that is what we do. Really founded from a point of sitting from an HR desk, and when I was interviewing, I felt like there's a little bit of a tweak that the female candidates could have, and it could have assisted them in terms of really interviewing well and preparedness in terms of work, in terms of building their confidence and the likes. And really just started from my own house, my dining table, writing a program. And of course the program went on built. We got some people to assist us in terms of building it properly, having it properly structured. Got some now I've got a program manager running it. So it is what I do. But again, from a personal level, from from time to time, interacting with the students, at least once quarterly, and just gauging where they are. And we can have, events, whether it's a book club review together from these girls from different schools and the like. But purely the mission is capacity building. So it means a lot, because I think for me, and I'm very confident, I am really called so much into, call it female or women leadership, growing that, and sparring even to get to policy levels and advising in terms of what can be done and all that. So that is what Kaiseki really means for me, and why Kaiseki for me.
This is what I've taken out from your interview. Go global, right?
Wow.
We're called to go global.
Wow, yes, good challenge. Challenge is good.
Build what you need to get there. What I'm getting from this is saying I don't have time is saying I don't want to, because you're clearly making time. You're making time for your engagements with your corporate, and so you're making time, and you're on the uppermost leadership seat. You're making time, for church involvement. I mean, you mentioned 3 different things that you're doing spiritually, so God bless you. You're making time for impact, and it's really meaningful, tangible impact that you can see the output, the outcomes and impact on. You're making time, really seriously making time for your spouse and children. And it may not look like, because sometimes we think volumes of time, because I'm not one who does volume, but I'm intentional with time. In case somebody else says, well, I don't want to go any further, it'll require more of me.
Oh.
Right? In case somebody says, well, that would be great, but I'm married, or I have children, or I have these responsibilities. I'm hearing you say, I do too.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
How you may not be breaking is the structuring and not seeking so hard to be understood, and then building what you then require for you to succeed. Yeah. So my last question to you, for senior leaders, they're planning their next move. They want to go big. They no longer want to be confined to, let me wait and see how the market will reward me, or if I will be chosen, but they want to take ownership now of their assignment, of really fulfilling their call on this earth. What should they stop optimizing for and start signaling instead? What are the things you're talking about stopping doing? What are the things as they're positioning, as they're owning their own global next level? What should they stop optimizing for? What then is more important that they should start signaling for?
So number one, the first thing they should stop is, in many cases, I've seen people leaving their journey to you outsource your destiny. You can't do that. You cannot outsource it. You really have to own it. You really have to be intentional and say, I will be in the driving seat. That's number one. Number two, going through the process. It cannot just come. It cannot just come. They should be ready to put in the work that needs to take them where they want to be. They should stop. Yes, now I say it, and I know if someone listens to this will be laughing, say, hey, they'll be clapping for me. They should stop this business of my work will speak for itself. They should start verbalizing. They should start communicating. They should start, it has to be known. It's not a secret, because we need people. God uses people. Even if you say, oh, I'm very spiritual, God will do something. Yes, there's no parting of the Red Sea now. It was parted then, and that's it. So verbalize it, and to me, that's all about being really intentional and being into it. Don't shy away. And I remember now, I'll take this back to you. Many years back, I think you told me, be the part, start behaving what you want to be, start interacting, start creating the cycles that you want to be in, the same cycle.
The level you see yourself at.
But where you see yourself at is what you need to start being. And for me, people might challenge you thinking it's things, it is what? Mindset. So it's the mindset change, it's the mindset change. They should, if it's something, they should stop it to shying away from responsibilities, because people want to grow, but they don't want to be responsible. So people being given additional tasks, no, what's there for me and the likes, that won't take them very far, or they will not even move an inch. So I think they should be ready for when opportunities showcase. They should be ready to grab them. Failure is not a problem, but it's how you with failing. You should fail forward, and that's okay. Fail, quickly stand up, get moving. You won't be in the same level anymore. We should not be afraid of failure. We should conquer the fear of failing. Failing is a process, because you only fail when you're trying, because otherwise if you never try, you'll never fail and you'll never be successful. You won't get it all unless you're ready to know that there's a portion of me that you need to lose a portion of you to get to where you want to be. So, and this can be really in terms of how we're thinking, in the way we are doing things, in terms of the values that we carry now. Do a value audit between what it requires, where you're going, and what are your current values. You're just very honest to yourself. There are things that I am required to have towards where I'm going, and I don't have them now. Get coaches to work with you. My success has been also very much driven by great coaches, the likes of Modesta. I'm not just saying because I'm in this podcast with you, but that's the honest truth that we've walked this journey for many years, and you've been a right fit in so many angles, and I always respect that. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for the show. I know that I know that there's value that I continue getting from you. So coaching, very, very important as well. They see things that we don't see. They might be 2 or 1 step ahead of you. So get a coach of the industry that you want to grow towards. You might be a scientist wanting to go to the moon and back. So get people who've gone there, or who knows who are going in that direction, and they'll take you there. If you want to be an excellent person in leadership and the likes, the likes of Modesta, but I know she's humble enough. If it's an area that the other people does better, definitely they'll also direct you to that path. Be ready to invest. And I'll say this with my glasses off, be ready to invest. People want free coaching. People want free this. The free lunch won't take you that far. It's only an appetizer to the meal. So get to invest in your personal and career development. And in some places, it's you personally investing. And if you're lucky that your institution has got these programs internally or externally.
Imelda, I would like to share your LinkedIn URL, if it's okay, on the show notes, in case somebody please listen to you and would like to reach out. Would that be all right with you?
Please do that. More than happy to connect.
So grateful to you for making the time for this. Today is your daughter Talia's birthday.
Oh yeah, Talia's 4 today. 4
By the time this is recorded, that would have been last week. But thank you so much for making time for us. And I know you're rushing to your family dinner. Yes. This has been really valuable. The biggest thing I've walked away with this for is ownership. Own it. Don't outsource. Not outsource. Ownership. Oh, I'm going to use that on social media. No outsourcing. Don't outsource your destiny. Own it.
Yes.
Thanks again, Imelda Lutebinga, for joining us on the Authority Advantage podcast.
Thank you so much for this.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm going to say that again. Thank you. One moment.
Proceed then.
Thank you so much, Imelda Lutebinga, for joining us on the Authority Advantage podcast.
Thank you so much, Modesta. Truly an honor being in this global stage of Authority Global. I love the whole thing about authority and being global. It just goes in the right direction in terms of where we should seize the global, opportunities and the likes. And thank you for your obedience in terms of serving in this platform as well. I'm truly honored once again being here. I look forward to listening to the recording because I also learn.
Absolutely. I love that. So everyone else, you've been listening to the Authority Advantage podcast, where authority is earned and proven. If today's conversation resonated, it's likely because your authority or your institution's authority is being assessed, reviewed, or experienced in ways that matter. At Authority Global, we work with leaders and institutions to ensure authority is there, coherent, and trusted when it's under scrutiny, so the right people move forward with confidence. To learn more or begin a confidential conversation, I've shared our link in the show notes. Until next time, lead with authority that holds.